Sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy because import guitar used to mean you sacrificed quality. You sacrificed the quality of the wood. The fret ends were sharp and they were rough. You couldn't count on the hardware. It would never stay in tune. The pickups had no dynamics. That's the place that I grew up in, and that place does not exist anymore. The SE NF53 is the latest guitar to blur the line between PRS's lines. Like the Core, the S2, and the SE are all moving up in quality. They're all getting better. And after playing this guitar and recording with it, I'm thinking like, why do I need to even go to the S2 line? Like this is very good. This is a very good guitar. A lot of times when you diffuse a product from its core to a more affordable market, you get watered down versions. You get versions that are like, okay, this isn't as good. But I think they proved everyone wrong initially with the Silver Sky SE, which is an amazing guitar and I use it all the time. And then the DGT SE, which in my mind was like the workhorse guitar of the SE line. But now this guitar, the NF53, I think is going to replace that as like the workhorse of the SE. This thing can do everything, and it doesn't feel like it's a watered down version of the Core model. It just feels like they wanted to make this model available to as many people as possible. It really does feel like the SE line from PRS is like their main line. There's something there for everyone, and they're all like classic mainstay guitars that should be in your arsenal. But there's something we need to talk about too. Paul Reed Smith apparently hates single coil pickups. I'm not making this up, right? PRS used to make single coil pickups in their guitars. The Studio used to have them. The Vela used to have one in the neck. The Swamp Ash Special used to have one in the middle position. But he started phasing all of these out. Now all of these are becoming the new deep dish pickup, an amalgamation of like the best parts of a humbucker, a single coil, P90, and it's all in one pickup. Now the only way you can get a single coil is by buying an artist guitar, so a Silver Sky or a Fiore. And I thought, man, wouldn't that be great if they came out with a Tele style guitar? And then they did. But they did it without single coils, and I thought there's no way this is gonna sound good. There's no way this is gonna sound like a Tele. And there's no way I'm gonna like it, whatever it does sound like. And I was wrong. Let's go over these specs really quick. Swamp Ash body. PRS necks are always so comfortable. I don't know why. Like, it's not for everyone, but for me, their necks fit my hand. It's like he knows me personally, intimately, personally. And this is a thicker neck. It reminds me of like a very old Telecaster neck, those bigger necks. It's very beefy. So if you're thinking like, oh, I don't like those pattern thin necks, this is not that. This is a substantial neck. 10-inch radius, steel bridge and brass saddles. Right now I'm playing into my PRS HDR-X20 and I'm going into my DAW, and I have an IR from York Audio. Right, nice and bright sounding. Middle. Really bright for a humbucker, man. And you have no hum. So, no hum. Still a lot of clarity, a lot more mid-punch than on a single coil.
great bite, right? If we had some reverb and compression. It's comfortable to play up high, even though that's like still like the block on the neck.
Can you see what Paul's going for here? Like, after playing PRS guitars for a while now, I'm starting to understand what Paul hears. Like, when you play a brand's equipment, you're starting to understand what they want to hear, the sounds that they want to hear. And I'm starting to understand what Paul's preference on pickups are. He loves clarity, but he doesn't want it to be thin. And so I'm sure you'll notice this on PRS guitars. There's that really bright top end on the humbuckers or PRS humbuckers that you really don't hear in other humbuckers. But then there's not the woofiness on a humbucker that you would also hear on other humbuckers. It's this very mid-focused, punchy, bright sound. He doesn't want to hear the hum of a single coil. That's annoying to him. In his mind, that probably gets in the way of the true sound. And you would think that these humbucker pickups don't sound close to a Tele, but actually, they're a lot closer than I thought. Check this out. There's two things that jump out at me about this guitar. One, incredibly comfortable to play. And then the pickups, I'm really surprised at how good these pickups sound because I thought I knew them. I played the NF3 and I was like, yeah, these are pretty good. These are a good sounding pickup. But now in this guitar, these are a great sounding pickup. As the great philosopher Kylo Ren once said, you must forget the past, kill it if you have to. And so the past where I thought that import guitars were no good, that's gone, because that's not the case. Import really just means where it comes from, and it doesn't mean anything else. So number one, the line between the SE and the core line is rapidly fading. Now, I'm not stupid. I know the SE line and the core line are not the same quality. There's not the same attention to detail, not the same hardware, not the same pickups. It's not the same guitar. However, the quality of the SE line is getting so high now that the desire, that need to get the core line, or even the S2 line, is greatly diminished for me. I can get it done with an SE guitar, no problem now. I wouldn't scoff, I wouldn't roll my eyes, and I would challenge you to do the same. You pick up this guitar and think like, what situation would this not be good enough? Because I couldn't think of any. Number two, Paul Reed Smith is probably never going to have a guitar that features single coil pickups unless the artist specifically asks for them. And three, the NF53 could probably be your main guitar. It probably could be your workhorse guitar. I'd be surprised if it didn't cover what you needed it to cover.
Awesome sounds. a pure rock machine on the bridge, right? And this comes back to what I'm always kind of trying to find, like, is this thing fun? Can I have fun with this instrument? And in case you can't tell on my face, you can have fun. Paul Reed Smith has shown me that I don't need single coil pickups to be happy, which is crazy because I need them to be happy. I need a lot of things to be happy. I'm not a happy guy by nature. I'm sure you can tell. I'm dour. I'm depressed. I feel melancholy, somber. These are the words that people use to describe my personality. Easily rattled. Woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Like, these are all things that people say about me, right? I'm an unhappy guy. But Paul Reed Smith showed me that I can be happy with a humbucker as long as the humbucker sounds like that. That's another thing that PRS has over every other guitar manufacturer. It always comes ready to play out of the box. I wouldn't change anything. The nut height is perfect. The fret ends, so smooth. I'm trying to think of another brand where like every line feels good out of the box. There's literally none. There's not a single other brand where I'm like, oh, it's like I have to do things, right? And I'm not good at doing things, so I end up ruining the guitar. So I'm like, yeah, let me file that a little bit. And then I'm rushing, and then all of a sudden, there's a gouge, you know? So bravo to PRS for that. Their quality control is unbelievable. And if any of you have worked in a large organization before, you know the only way that happens is if someone who's in charge of it cares a lot about that. There's someone who's saying, it has to be this, or it's not gonna go out. The product will not ship unless it meets this level. And that is something that I always am appreciative of. Like, you can tell that they really care about the quality. Now, let's talk about this look. I think this looks better than a core model. You know why? Because this fretboard that comes around here, it's like a Tele Deluxe kind of fretboard here. That curve wrapping around the bottom of the bridge just makes it look better. Look at this core model, and then look at this. Like, am I wrong? This is a better looking guitar. Okay, and now let's finally talk about these pickups. 2 deep dish pickups. And I remember when I was playing the NF3, I was like, oh yeah, I get it. But I think they sound better in this model than the NF3. That's kind of crazy, right? But here's the differences. Different scale length, 25.5-inch scale length, traditional T-style scale length. Different bridge, right? It's got brass saddles, a steel bridge. No springs, right, in the tremolo system. But they are both mounted onto the fretboard. And then Swamp Ash. Maybe that's what's making the difference, but these sound better. Now, Zounds was nice enough to lend me this guitar for a couple weeks, so if you want to check out more, click the links below to check out the NF53 and all the other great guitars in the SE line. Paul, you've shown me to be the fool that I am once again, and I have to thank you for that. I commend you for that. Not very often someone gets the jump on old Super Danger. Yeah! And just like when I played that NF3, this is the most surprising guitar that I've played in a long time. It feels so much better than I thought it was going to be, and it sounds really good. If you're feeling tele-curious, if you want a new workhorse guitar, or if you want to see how good the SE line truly is, try to check out an NF53 in person. I really think you'll be surprised at how good it feels and how good it sounds. Thanks again for watching, guys. My name's Alex, and I'll see you out there on the internet.